Michael, you ran the bin Laden unit at the CIA, the so-called Alex station. I saw a tabulation in Time magazine this week. They said that since 2007, you've been quoted in propaganda videos and the like from ISIS and other splinter groups from Al Qaeda no less than 16 times. Why do they keep quoting you?
It appears, Michael, that I'm the only one in the West that's willing to take people who match words and deeds seriously. I'm not a rocket scientist, and my foes will tell you that. They rather think I'm an idiot. But we're fighting an enemy who tells us exactly what he's going to do, and then he does it. And he does it for the motivations that he describes. And yet we have the third American president now, Mr. Clinton, Mr. Bush, and Mr. Obama, repeating the same sort of nonsense that they've talked about for the last 18 years.
In other words, you believe there's a misperception. You think that the American people, and you know I've read all your books, so I've read this and I've heard it from you before, but you think that to the extent we've been told that this is about our lap dances or our lattes or our Gap jeans or our, quote, freedoms, that's just not what drives the jihadists.
That's a deliberate lie on the part of the ruling establishment in this country, on the political elite, sir, because they don't want to face the fact that what motivates these people to attack us, maybe not to attack the Israelis, maybe not to attack the Saudis, but to attack us, is our intervention in their world. And right now, ISIS could not ask for any greater gift than the one Obama is giving them right at the moment.
So when they quote Michael Sheuer, your interpretation is to say, because I understand them to be evil SOBs, but people who say what they mean and transmit their intentions, and their message has been mischaracterized by the American political leadership, both Democrats and Republicans.
Everyone, Michael, there's not an honest man on Capitol Hill, as far as I know, in terms of this since Ron Paul left. This is a problem that is ours, and it will keep growing, and it will occur in this country until we come to grips with the fact that we have a choice. We keep our foreign policy constant. We fight this war forever. We change our foreign policy to the extent we can, especially in regard to energy and support for the Saudi police state and the Israelis. We have a chance to split the unity of the Mujahideen and have them fight against themselves rather than us.
In that hostage video, Mr. Cantley quotes you as having said, Obama doesn't have the slightest intention of defeating the Islamic State. Square that with the fact that we're all looking at footage of airstrikes that have been now launched against that Islamic State, both in Iraq and now in Syria.
Michael, we've watched it in Iraq the first time in 2003. We've watched it for 14 years in Afghanistan. Air power wins nothing except with an atomic weapon aboard. And that's not going to happen. It is, Obama said yesterday, there's no military solution to this. And what that means is he's ashamed, as Bush was, as Clinton was, to apply American military power that the American people have paid for to protect their country and their families. And what they'll do is they'll talk their way out of this war, we'll run again, and we'll be 0 for 3 against the Mujahideen, which in the Muslim world means they've beaten both superpowers, both the Soviets and the United States.
The Soviets in the '79 invasion of Afghanistan is what you're referring to.
That's correct, sir.
I'm going to ask you for the Michael Sheuer solution in a moment, but first I want to ask you to square what you've just offered in terms of what the real motivation of ISIS is with what we're seeing in those videos. And here's what I mean by that, Michael. They're beheading journalists as they are threatening the president against further incursion into the Muslim world. Surely they know that the reaction here in America is going to be for people to get fired up and be supportive of those bombing missions. So I guess my question for Michael Sheuer is, do they really want us to come over there, or do they really want us, as they say in the video, to stay home?
They want us to come over there so we'll stay home, Michael. They want to beat us again. It's a lure. Osama bin Laden and other of the Islamist leaders have explained very clearly that running an operation across the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific into America is expensive, and it'll cause only minimal damage. If they can get an American field army on the ground, they have found twice now in Iraq and Afghanistan that they can defeat it. It costs us enormous amounts of money, many dead, lots of maimed kids hobbling around for the rest of their life. But most important, they defeat the greatest power the world has ever seen, as it's said, with arms from the Korean War. They're certainly They know what war is about, sir, and we don't.
So when they say this is what you'll get more of, Obama, if you continue, they are really saying continue your quest on the so-called, their words, not mine, Arabian Peninsula, so that they can use it as a recruitment device. That's the world according to Michael Sheuer.
I think it's reality. At least that's the way I see reality. Yes, according to Sheuer, that's correct.
All right,
the more we intervene, the more they win.
Before you leave me, give me the plan. So if Michael Sheuer were dictating that which the United States should be doing, it would be what?
Close the southern border so we don't end up fighting using the U.S. military inside the United States. Begin to put together the XL pipeline, build it, drill offshore, get us energy sufficient so we can dump those tyrants that are part of our coalition now, the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Emiratis. They're the people that should be getting killed in this, not Americans. And finally, we need to separate ourselves from Israel. It is an enormous drag on it's a cancer on American foreign policy.
You know that people will hear this and find those words objectionable and say they're our only friend in the Middle East, the only democracy, the only people we can trust in that part. Why would we ever turn our backs on the Israelis?
I find it objectionable to send my college-age kids to fight and die so Mrs. Mohammed can vote in an Afghan election, and then after all those kids die, to run away and leave the country, go back to the Taliban. I'll take the abuse if people can explain what in the world this political elite is doing to our young people.
Michael Sheuer, thank you as always for being here.
Pleasure, sir.
Let's take a break. I've got a lot more ahead. Up next, this question: where are you, Jane Fonda? Where are you, Susan Sarandon? And the thousands of others who've protested American wars in the past. America is at war again, but why are the streets silent this time? I'll talk with veteran activist Tom Hayden. Also ahead, the domestic politics of ISIS. No one on Capitol Hill will go on record with a vote to authorize force against ISIS, but plenty of political ads are using video of the terrorists to stoke fears in the hearts and minds of voters this November, and we'll talk about that. And Gary Hart never got to the White House. Nearly 30 years ago, he was caught in an affair with Donna Rice, ending his bid. A new book sets the record straight on what happened, and I pose this question to the man who broke the Hart story. Have we as a nation suffered because tabloid journalists now peer through the bushes when covering political candidates? I'll be right back.